Shri Guru Namaha children. Today we are going to see the lesson, the Sale of Goods Act 1930. In this lesson, we are going to see the formation of this sale of contract of sale. The sale of goods is one of the most important acts coming under special law. This act was passed in the year 1930. Prior to this act, it was governed by Chapter 7 of the Indian Contract Act 1872. Contract for the sale of goods are subjected to general legal principles applicable to all contracts. So the Indian Contracts Acts continue to apply to the contract for the sale of goods. This contract of sale of goods is a contract whereby the seller transfer or agree to transfer the property of the goods to the buyer for a price. The term ownership is most important in the sale of goods. See, this students, you should understand. You have to understand that sale means selling the ownership of the goods to the buyer for the price besides transferring the physical possession of the goods. Here, possession of the goods does not entitle to a person's ownership. Similarly, purchase means buying the ownership of the goods from the seller for a price. Okay, do you understand? The term ownership of the property confers on the buyers on absolute freedom to dispose for the asset in any way of his life. If he likes, he can sell any time. Buyer has unlimited rights of the property purchased against the whole world. In this contract, it is essential for the learning of essential elements of the contract of sale. Okay, so now we are going to see the essential elements of contract of the sale. Two parties. Definitely there should be involved two parties. Two persons should be there. The contract of sale involves two parties and the seller, buyer. Isn't it? The buyer and the seller should be two different persons. If a person buys his own goods, there is no sale. On the dissolution of partnership, when the surplus assets including goods were distributed among the parties, the court held that it was not a sale attracting savings act. The partners were themselves joint owners of the goods and they could not be both seller and the buyer. However, there is no exemption when the goods of a person are sold in the execution of their decree. He himself may buy the goods to retain their ownership. Transfer of property. The constitute sale, the seller must transfer or agree to transfer the ownership in the goods to the buyer. The mere transfer of possession does not amount of sale. Goods. The subject matter of contract of sale must be goods. It excludes money, actionable kind of movable property, stock, shares, growing crops, etc. Goodwill, trademarks, copyrights, patent rights, etc. are also regarded as goods. Price. The monetary consideration of goods sold is called price. So every product has a monetary value. If goods are exchanged for the goods, it is only bare and not a sale. But if goods are sold partly for goods and partly for money, the contract is called a sale. And then sale and agreement to sale. The term contract of sale includes both sale and agreement to sale. If the property in goods is transferred immediately to the buyer, it is called sale. Okay. On the other hand, if the transfer of the property takes place at a future date or on the fulfillment of certain condition, it is called as agreement to sale. So you should understand, children, what is sale and then what is the agreement of sale. You should know the difference between. Okay. The property in the goods purchased from the seller to the buyer immediately the ownership is transferring to somebody else. That is called sale. In future only it is going to happen. In future only, there is certain contracts they will be putting among them in the sense that is also called as agreement to sell. Okay, and then now we are going to see the types of goods. In types of goods, we are having existing goods, contingent goods, and then future goods like that. So first we are going to see the existing goods. Existing goods are those who are possessed by the seller at the time of contract of sale. Goods possessed even refer to sale by agent or by pledger. So you can see, you can easily identify existing goods. So this existing goods already the ownership has possessed. Okay, and then the goods means every kind of movable property I said, isn't it? So shares, stocks, growing crops, everything I said, everything is considered as goods. Okay. So in this goods only we are seeing this existing goods. And then next we are going to see in this existing goods may be either specific goods, ascertained goods, identified and agreed upon at the time of contract of sale. For example, if a buyer selects a particular variety of saree after examining several other sarees, the selected denotes specific goods. Particular saree we are selecting now that is called as specific goods. Ascertained goods. The term ascertained goods is also used as similar in meaning of specific goods, but this term may even refer to goods which becomes ascertained subsequent to the formation of the contract. And then generic or unascertained goods. These goods which are not identified and said agreed upon the time of the contract of sale. For example, A wants to buy a car for a showroom where different models at different price have been displayed. All these displayed models represent unascertained goods. Okay, do you understand, children? That is only we saw now. Specific goods, ascertained goods, unascertained goods or generic goods. Okay. And then transfer of ownership. How the ownership is transferred to somebody else. The transfer of property in goods from the seller to the buyer is the main object of the contract of sale. So definitely something we are going to give. Okay. The term property in the goods must be distinguished from the possession of goods. Property in the goods means ownership of the goods, while possession of goods refer to the custody of goods or control over the goods. For example, A may possess a watch. Just because A possesses that watch, he cannot be the owner. He might have borrowed from the watch from his friend or stolen the watch from somebody or found it on the highway. In this case, he cannot be called owner. It is important to know the precise moment of time at which the ownership in goods passes from seller to buyer. Okay. Specific goods at the time of contract, beyond the date of contract. At the time of contract, that there is an unconditional contract for the sale of specific goods in the deliverable state, ownership in the goods passes to the buyer when the contract is made. The time of payment of price or time of delivery of goods. B selects certain book in the bookshop. The price is settled. P arranges to take delivery of goods next day through the servant and agrees to pay for the books on the first of next month. The books were destroyed by the fire in the same evening. In this case, B has to bear the loss and pay for the books selected since the ownership has already passed to the B. See, already he paid, that's why the ownership was transferred to B. That's why he has to pay the amount. Okay, do you understand? Beyond the date of contract. Goods not in a deliverable condition. If it is not in the deliverable condition, what will happen? Where there is a contract, the sale of specific goods not in the deliverable condition, that is, the seller has to do certain activities to bring the goods into deliverable condition like painting, quality checking, weighting, etc. Then the ownership does not possess till such activities bringing them into deliverable condition are completed. For example, there is a contract for the sale of machine weighing 30 tons and installed in the concrete floor. Some parts of the machines were damaged during the process of removal. In this case, buyer is entitled to refuse to buy the machine as it is not in deliverable condition. So, when he takes from the machine, something happened, some damages happened in the sense automatically it is not a condition to deliver. Okay, we understand. And then when the price of goods is to be ascertained by weighing to testing or doing something, where there is a contract for the sale of the specific goods in a deliverable condition, but the seller is yet to weigh, measure, test, or do some other act or thing that refers to the goods for the purpose of fixing the price. Before fixing the price, you have to check everything. Then the ownership in the goods passes to the buyer only after such activities are carried out and completed and the buyer has a knowledge of it. Okay. For example, A sold some quality of wheat to B at the rate of rupees 10 per kg. However, A had to weigh the wheat in order to know the price of the entire quality of wheat sold to B. In this case, the ownership of the wheat shall transfer to B as soon as A weighed and B becomes know about the completion of the B activity. So, in this case,